Good afternoon. When my son Elliot was in elementary school, he said something that awakened me to a great paradox. Life has so much potential, but we seem to make so little of it. No matter how much money we make, we're always in financial scarcity. Despite all the labor-saving devices we have no time to enjoy our life. And with all the social media there is, we are more lonely than ever before in the world. Why? On a daily basis, our life just seems to suck. Why? Around the same time, I stumbled upon the writings of an Indian mystic called Osho, spelled O-S-H-O, Osho, who left behind a legacy of over 2,000 books on the art of living in bliss, in joyful abundance, and with conscious awareness. Inspired by Osho's perspectives and by my son's question, I will now explore a fundamental shift in our consciousness that speaks to the very heart of the paradox that my son Elliot highlighted. There are three barriers that contribute to why life sucks. Let's examine what it takes to overcome them. The first barrier I want to talk to you about is called the chattering monkey. How many of you have noticed that there's a voice inside your head that is talking to you right now, simultaneously, even while I'm talking to you? Eastern mystics have called this voice the chattering monkey. Why? Just as monkeys are moving all the time, jumping from branch to branch, so is our mind. I have brought Curious George with me to demonstrate this firsthand. I once worked in an office where my boss would walk in through the main door. She would stop at my desk for a few minutes, and then she would proceed to her office. This happened every day, but one day she walked in through the main door and walked straight to her office. That's when Curious George sat up. He said, "Did you just see what happened? How mean of her to not stop by and say hello. I was with her in a meeting till 7:30 p.m. last night, and she seemed quite happy with me. I bet it's my boss's boss. He didn't look too happy. He must have said something bad about me. Anyway, let me go back at lunchtime to make sure everything is okay." I went back to my boss's office at lunch only to discover that she was leaving for lunch with 4 of my colleagues to my favorite Indian restaurant without inviting me. That's when Curious George became Furious George. He said, "Did you just see what happened? Not only did she not stop by and say hello, but she's leaving for your favorite Indian restaurant without inviting you? I hope I'm not getting fired. I don't even have an updated resume. I better come up with something spectacular to help me keep my job. Otherwise, I'll never be able to make my payments on the new Honda." Now, little did I know that my boss was supervising a project that 4 of my colleagues were working on that was going very badly. And since I was not involved in the project, she just didn't feel the need to invite me. And on top of that, my boss's boss had yelled at her that morning about the project going badly, so my boss was stressed. She walked into the building, walked straight to her office, picked up her phone, called my colleagues, told them to meet her for lunch so that they can together fix the failing project. But my chattering monkey's auditory messages became visual filters. And these visual filters started shaping the way I view my boss. So when Curious George said, "This boss is mean," I started wearing my mean lenses. The moment Curious George said, "She is unfair," I start wearing my unfair lenses. And then soon, when he says she's such a jerk, I start wearing my jerk lenses. Now my boss looks like a mean, unfair jerk to me. How many of you can see that through these lenses, I will never be able to see my boss for who she is? Now, we live trapped in the psychic prison of the mind. We live encaged in our own private world of stories and interpretations. Even countries go to war with each other based on what their chattering monkeys are telling them. It's only when we go beyond the chattering monkey and we go beyond the mind that we can start seeing reality for what it truly is without all the distortions that our lenses can create. Notice how much continuous inner chatter goes on in your head from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. The antidote to the chattering monkey is the shift to mindfulness. the ability to watch and witness your thoughts as if they are just clouds moving through the sky. Rather than take your thoughts too seriously, watch them go by. How many of you can see that there is a chattering monkey in your life that is actually causing unnecessary alienation in some of your relationships at work, in your family, and your social life? And how many of you can see that whenever you're miserable, most often it's your chattering monkey causing your misery? The shift to mindfulness enables you to start watching your thoughts as if they're just clouds floating by, without getting sucked into all the tension and stress that they create. Mindfulness is your ability to know that these thoughts can come and go. You don't have to get sucked into them, and you are not your moving thoughts. You are actually the sky itself, the space of consciousness that holds these moving thoughts.